Good mouse, we're back! The Unmissable Album we have for you today is technically a musical, but that's okay. We're going to embrace it and sing each word we say. Or maybe not, that might be hard, but we're too lazy. Let's just start.
Dr. Horrible's Sing-Along blog is an internet musical tragic comedy mini-series. I'm gonna guess the only one in existence. Written by Joss Whedon, Jed Whedon, Zack Whedon, and Marissa Tancherone, who, fun fact, also appears in the musical. If you point her out, you get nerd points. Dr. Horrible was created during the 2007 to 2008 Writers Guild strike, during the dark times when there was nothing new on American television except for reality shows.
These were dark times, Harry, dark times.
So how did a strike lead to a musical blog coming out of that? I could tell you the boring version of how it happened, or I could tell you the Joss Whedon version of how it happened. So here's a little story he wrote as a letter for his fans. His words, not mine, please don't sue me for plagiarism. Once upon a time, all the writers in the forest got very mad with the forest kings and declared a work stoppage. The forest creatures were all sad. The mushrooms did not dance, the elderberries gave no juice for the festival wines, and the teamsters were kind of pissed, but they were very polite about it. During this work stoppage, many writers tried to form partnerships for outside funding to create new work that circumvented the forest king system. Frustrated with the lack of movement on that front, I finally decided to do something very ambitious, very exciting, and very midlife crisis-y. Aided only by everyone I had worked with, was related to, or had ever met, I single-handedly created this unique little epic. A supervillain musical, of which, as we all know, there are far too few. The idea was to make it on the fly, on the cheap, but to make it. To turn out a really thrilling, professional-ish piece of entertainment, specifically for the internet. To show how much could be done for very little. To show the world there is another way. To give the public, and particularly you guys, something for all your support and patience. And to make a lot of silly jokes. Actually, that sentence probably should have come first. So the result of all that is the musical we know as Dr. Horrible's Sing-Along blog.
I did like it. It was quite quirky and unusual, to say the least. And yeah, good to see that Joss Whedon can still keep people entertained even when the writers are striking.
Do people appreciate a good song? Yeah, I love it. I've always loved Dr. Horrible's Sing-Along blog. It's so good. This is
Really did. Like the first time I saw it was last year at some point, so I jumped on the bad wagon. Bad horse is bad wagon.
Bad wagon.
I jumped on the bad wagon a bit too late, and I'll keep it as bad wagon. But absolutely loved it, and this is bizarrely enough only my second time seeing it.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I watched it, I really had no idea what to expect. But, well, partially because I don't think I'd actually seen any of Joss Whedon's stuff. And so my friends were telling me, oh, this is so Joss Whedon, and like, there's never a happy ending or a happy relationship. And I'm like, well, this guy just sounds like depressing. Like, why does he have so many fans? And then I watched Firefly and Dollhouse and the Avengers, and now it makes so much sense. But yes, I love Dr. Horrible's Sing-Along blog. That's why I chose it.
I don't want to be obvious and say Dr. Horrible, but it probably was. Reason being, well, Neil Patrick Harris, and also his get-up was pretty cool. Plus, he was one of the bad guys and you can't want to root for.
I have to say, I really like the way the three characters are set up as sort of like, sort of Captain Hammer's kind of the, not just the status quo, he's like the corporate tool, like, the corporate tool thing is actually a really well-placed line, just in the sense that he's, basically, working for the big guys, basically. He's the man in the sense of, like, so-called, like, sort of the so-called popular view, I guess. Sort of he's the celebrity, he's the guy who's got it good. and just sort of looking down on everyone else and going, yeah, like this is the way things should be, and then forgetting that there's the little guy down there, which I'm sure is some kind of loose metaphor for capitalism somehow.
In terms of like comedic value, I think probably Captain Hammer, because he's so funny and Nathan Fillion just plays that character so well. I think in terms of the actual character, I think I like Penny the best, just because she's nice. She's the type to go around asking people to sign petitions. I'm like, yeah, that's a bit of me. Except I do it online because I'm lazy. Like, I'ma sign this petition. You all sign it too.
Yeah, Penny's kind of, the typical, sort of trying to make change for the better character. Obviously, sort of the nice girl, the one who's the capitalist, the hippie, and then Dr. Horrible, sort of the misanthropic anarchist. Like there's sort of that triangle of sort of political viewpoints.
The person who opens the dry door second after Neil Patrick Harris does. I don't know, I just don't, I guess this is, Joss Whedon's, trademark thing, writing, characters that have some good and some bad to them, but I just couldn't like any of the three major characters, basically for that reason. They're all flawed, they all had their, well, I suppose that's what makes them good, but they're all flawed in ways that I wasn't a fan of.
Neil Patrick Harris, sort of Dr. Horrible, representing the little guy who's, like he's not the little guy who's trying to be the good guy, he's the little guy who's sick of your shit. I'd have to say he's slightly loopy in the sense that like he's a little bit too ready to blame, to sort of blame like, whatever Nathan Fillion represents in this case. Sort of going about it the wrong way, but you can sort of see why he's doing it. And I have to say I kind of empathize with that a lot more than the other characters' positions.
That one's complicated because my favorite character, as far as the actual person, is Dr. Horrible. Because you can't help but sympathize with him, and it's just different having there be a villain who's actually a likable person opposed to the hero who's a totally unlikable person. Because I love Nathan Fillion as Captain Hammer. He's like so perfect at being like the cheesiest, biggest jerk in the planet. But you can't actually like Captain Hammer.
Neil Patrick Harris has a song after he shoots Nathan Fillion for Freeze Ray.
That's a bad horse. Who doesn't like the bad horse song? But closely followed by a man's gotta do what a man's gotta do. Oh god, this is gonna be online. That's so bad. Yeah, those two definitely.
Sort of a tie, the bookends of Act 2, the first and the last songs of Act 2, they both sort of resonated in me in different, I can't give titles, sorry. They both sort of resonated in me in different ways. Oh, thank you. My Eyes and Brand New Day. I don't really have much more explanation beyond they just resonated in me.
I cannot believe my ears, how this song reduces me to tears. That, yeah, I envisioned that being a much more confident performance on my part. But yeah, I cry every time. I love that song.
Aww.
My Eyes. Just because, like, I just like the contrast of between him and Penny, and it's like almost sadder because like she's singing her happy little optimistic song and he's so like, everything's horrible, but it's still a really pretty duet.
One of Nathan Fillion's songs. In fact, no, Nathan Fillion's first song, I didn't like that one too much. It's a bit too much. Macho Man.
It is really hard to pick our least favourite song. A few of the ones towards the end kind of sound a lot more the same, and I didn't know them that well.
I really hate saying this, but Neil Patrick Harris, his second from the penultimate song, as he's lining up to kill Nate Fillion, partially just because he's lining up to kill Nate Fillion, but it wasn't so much it wasn't like. You phrased the question least favourite, it pretty much was my least favourite because I really did like the whole thing.
I'm going to go with Man's Gotta Do What a Man's Gotta Do. Just in the sense that I feel like that really isn't Fillion's strongest performance singing-wise. It's a bit sort of, it feels a lot closer to spoken word, and that's really sort of not my thing when it comes to music. Like sort of going, I mean, spoken word is okay, but sort of going half-half is kind of, yeah. It's like he's trying to sing and it's coming out spoken. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. Cool. Oh, sweet. Okay. I wasn't listening.
Probably, I'm guessing it's the one that's just called Penny's Song on the track list. Just because, I don't know, that one did seem kind of cheesy to me, and some of the rhyme just seemed kind of forced. Just something going on.
I was wondering how long did it take you to notice.
Until I started hearing weird sounds.
We're just warming up for when you break into song.
This is a different kind of hero.
Can't really say much about it. I can see that if nothing else is on TV, that you definitely get addicted to this. It's good. Don't know if I'd watch it again, but yeah. Weird.
Would you watch the sequel?
There's a sequel?
Not yet.
Well, come next Rise Strike, yeah, I think I would watch the sequel.
I remember the first time I heard about this, actually. I was in the States. I was just standing, I remember it precisely, I was standing on Santa Monica Pier waiting to have my caricature drawn, and I got a text from the girl I was seeing at the time who had just seen it, and we were both huge Firefly fans. And I kind of knew about it a little bit, but she just sent me this text that said, "Oh my god, Nathan Fillion as a singing superhero," and I just went, "What?" And she said, "It's okay, you'll find out when you get back." And I go, and I finally watch it. Oh. I'm so glad that they got together and did that. And it just shows what you can do without funding when you just like get a few, well, if you've got all those resources, of course. Like when you just get some friends together, if those friends happen to be prop designers, set designers, camera people, all that sort of thing. But it's just such a great example of people genuinely having fun and just genuinely wanting to make a good comedy and good TV for their fans and like not caring about getting paid for it.
This sequel that you're promising, please let it happen. Other than that, if you haven't seen it, then by all means, it is funny and it's really a good show of what really good stuff can be done on a low budget. Alright, the DVD cover looks like this, buy it. I'm onto you.
Not a joke, not a dork, not a failure. And she may cry, but her tears will dry when I hand her the keys.
Apparently I'm even more of a story junkie than I thought. Because I love music and there's a lot of albums that I really like, but I just don't get as much into songs, I guess, as I do a compelling story. So. Plus, something different, a musical. I hadn't done that yet for US. Bad Horse. He's bad.
How bad?
Like Gandhi?
Mouse, we're back! The Unmissable Album we have for you today is technically a musical, but that's okay! We're going to embrace it and sing each word we say! Or maybe not, that might be hard, we're too lazy, that's the time!
Yeah!
Oh god, I screwed that up.
You did, that's okay.